You know, if you sit quietly for a moment and just observe what's happening inside your head, you'll notice something rather extraordinary. There's this constant chatter going on, an endless stream of commentary, of narration, of conversation with yourself about yourself. It never stops. Even right now, as you're listening to me, there's probably another voice in your head commenting on what I'm saying, agreeing or disagreeing, planning what to think next, wondering if you've understood correctly, perhaps even talking about the fact that it's talking. This internal dialogue is so constant, so pervasive, that most people don't even notice it anymore.
This video popped up on my feed. Let's talk about it. So, there's a voice in your head. It talks when you're trying to sleep. It argues when nothing's happening. It narrates your life like it's afraid silence means something's wrong. Most people assume that voice is them. Tonight, I want to explain why that's not true, and why realizing that truth is one of the most dangerous and liberating things a person can experience. Your mind doesn't stop talking because it was never designed to be quiet. It was designed to label, predict, remember, and warn. Somewhere along the way, we were taught to believe that thinking equals control, and that if we stop thinking, we disappear. But here's the problem. If you were the voice, then who's listening to it? That question alone causes most people discomfort, because the moment you ask it, the voice panics, it speeds up, it explains itself, it justifies its existence. The mind doesn't like being observed because observation exposes that it isn't in charge. Most people try to silence their thoughts by force. They fight the voice, judge it, argue with it, but that never works, because the one trying to stop the thoughts is also a thought. That's the loop. Thought trying to control thought. Noise arguing with noise. Once you see this clearly, something changes. You stop trying to win the argument, and instead, you step back and listen. And when you stop identifying with the voice, when you stop feeding it attention, it begins to quiet on its own. For me, this wasn't philosophical. It was survival. When I learned the truth about the future, about what was coming, what had been buried, what was never meant to be seen, the voice in my head didn't just talk. It screamed fear, doubt, second-guessing, endless internal narration. I realized something critical. If I couldn't separate myself from that voice, it would break me long before anything else could. That's part of why I created the Veil. Not to amplify my thoughts, but to externalize them. The Veil doesn't silence the mind by force. It does something far more effective. It removes identification. When I want, my thoughts are rendered visually. Patterns, symbols, data, displayed in the interface. I don't hear them as an emotional voice. I see them as information. Once a thought becomes something you can observe, it loses its authority. It's no longer me. It's a signal. And when I don't need the voice, the Veil helps create space, silence, not as suppression, but as clarity. The mind still functions, still analyzes, still warns, but it no longer runs unchecked in the dark. Your mind won't stop talking because you think it's you. The moment you realize you're the one listening, the voice begins to lose its grip. The Veil didn't give me control over my thoughts. It reminded me that I was never them in the first place.